Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to Villa in Noir midweek mashup time. Julian here. Just want to say thank you for joining me today. And before I go into anything, I want you to make sure you like this video. Likes help get this shooting around the algorithm, shooting around all of YouTube. I want you to subscribe to this channel. I believe that us Villa fans, there's not many of us out here doing stuff like this, and we need to be seen just as much as the other fans that are doing it for other clubs. And also share this. There might be somebody out there that wants to hear what I'm talking about when it comes to all things Aston Villa. Before I get into anything in terms of the midweek mashup today, I think it's important to just say thank you to those that joined me on Sunday for the watch along. It was actually really, really fun. My first time doing it, trying to do all the stuff together. It was fun. It was a lot of fun, and the interaction that I had with a couple people that were on the chat and stuff, it was fun. So I'm looking forward to doing it for other games, especially the European games. I just need to find a way to get access to the games that aren't going to be on like Sky or TNT and stuff. Sometimes I might have to look at anyway. There's things I can do. Do you know what I mean? There's things that we could do to make sure that these watch alongs still go ahead accordingly. So yeah, just continue to support. Continue to join me, and I'm enjoying this journey with you guys. Just let's continue to support the thing. I really want to get to 50 subscribers ASAP. So subscribe, and we'll see this blow up over time. So yeah, it's all good. But let's get into it, man. Like midweek mashup, this is the time where I give a little bit more of an insight to my understanding of the game that just went by. Also just give some updates about what's going on at Villa at the moment as well. So, and it's been a busy few days, and needed to be as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. But just to recap my thoughts about the game on Sunday, man. Listen. I'm sure many Villa fans can attest to the same feelings. Just somewhat despair. Watching that game was hard. It seemed as if there's been no progression, or if anything, there's been regression in terms of our ability to create anything or to just play football. Really, it's very clear that Unai has his way of being, and that's not a problem when it's successful. And on the live stream, one of the people that was in the chat just asked, who would you want instead? And I haven't ever had a thought about it properly to think about that as yet. However, what I did say to the person that was on the stream, I said, look, I need somebody that is able to think on the fly. We need a manager that is able to recognize when he's done things wrong and make adjustments early. Not wait and see. I always think about, I'm sure was it Mancini? Was it Pellegrini? One of them when they were at Manchester City anyway, they literally just took a player off after 20 or 30 minutes. I know Mourinho did it when he was at Chelsea. I think the second time he just took somebody off, and it was, this is not going to work. Took a gamble, made the wrong choice. This is what we do. And I think it's that kind of manager, that kind of ability or humility to admit when this isn't working. And every Villa fan can see that at the minute, the tactics that we're trying to utilize aren't working. I said it in the last video. I said it before. I feel like we got found out from midway through last season. And yeah, we got to sort it out. But just to have a look at the game itself, just to kind of give some insight into this. So let's have a look. So we have possession. We're a high possession team, but the same issues is what is coming about. We had more shots this game, which is better, which is good. You know, which was the game we had no shots for the first half. It was crazy. You know, 2 big chances, quite a few corners. Again, outpassing the other team. Lots of free kicks. But the difficulty is, and again, this map here explains the problem. We have possession, right? Our XG is low. Why is our XG low? Even with all these shots, why is our XG low? I don't think we don't create high quality chances. I don't think I can think of a chance on Sunday where, where I can't think of a chance on Sunday where it was high quality, where definitely I feel like if it wasn't for the keeper, this is going in. I think, in fact, no, I can think of one. I think Dean Henderson made one good save, but I feel like it was quite comfortable as well. You know, again, so if we look at the shots now, out of the 13 shots, only 4 on target. That explains it. You know, all these shots inside the box, but only 4 on target. It's not high quality chances, and this attack map again, it shows the difficulty in terms of where our high concentration of plays. And I don't mind having high concentration of play in this area, but I'll show you why this is also a little bit of a, I don't want to say Trojan horse, but a little bit of it's misleading somewhat. Because what I would say is that this would show that we have high control of the midfield. When you look at this is what I would see. This is why when I look at this, I would say we've got high control of the midfield. This is where we're having a lot of play. However, if we're honest, the reason why our high concentration of play is here is because we do play quite high up, and we bring our centre backs, and a lot of our play is in this area. Sorry. So let's go to this page, and I'll show you average positions. Right, these are average positions. So the reason why our high concentration of play is because there's a lot of ball movement. I want to say ball movement. There's a lot of possession here between centre backs and the double pivot. And then if you go back to this page, high concentration over here. Again, our left hand side is where we seem to want to push the ball. But I also think part of that is due to the fact that we don't have a right hand side. And I know that we're apparently addressing that, through the transfers that we've made. And, you know, I'll get into them in a second. But I still think we have to think about our passage of play, our patterns of play, because I don't know how much width we have. It doesn't seem that we have a lot of width. I think we had more width on the left-hand side this week just because of Ian Maatson. But then again, his final ball, you know, he's a bit of a hit and miss. When his final ball is, I feel like, you know, someone might shoot me for this or say I'm crazy. I think his best final ball is better than Dini's best final ball, in terms of if they are both to produce their best final ball on the run, slap it into the box, their best version of it. I think that Maatson has a better best. However, he's way less consistent. So I think Dinier's got so much more consistency in terms of his deliveries. Whereas his best isn't probably what Matson's is. But what are we doing here? We're trading off at this point. So we've got a young kid in Maatson who is energetic. He can get up and down the byline, very quick, but his final delivery isn't always amazing. And then we have Digne, who older, a little bit slower, a bit more defensively sound, but it gives up on the attacking end. We've got to figure it out. I know that Unai tried a thing with Giesand and Marlon, didn't seem to work out. But as I said on Sunday in my match reaction, you know, we've got to give them more time. However, with the new arrivals, we're gonna see what happens here. But ultimately, guys, this is the thing. This is the thing. Ultimately, we have to do better, regardless of what's going on. We have to do better. It seems like we've ran out of ideas when we get into that final third. There doesn't seem to be much go ahead, and I don't know how much that changes with new players. I feel like it can change it, but I don't know how much it changes if you're just gonna put round square pegs into round holes just because you want them to be in your system. I think that these purchases from of the team require us to probably look at how we set up a little bit differently, just because of the kind of players that they seem to be. If we are going to be inserting them into the lineup, and I don't know how ready we are for that. If I'm honest, yeah. But ultimately, we've got to do better. I think the purchases do address our squad depth issues, which is good, finally, because I looked at the bench on Sunday and I was like, who are these kids? They're all academy kids or whatever. And we lost our home record, which is so sad. It was one thing that we could kind of hold our hat on. Like, yeah, we've been unbeaten at home for 20 odd games or whatnot. So yeah, something has to change. And we have gone out on the final day of the market and purchased 3 players, or purchased 1, obtained 2 on loan. Obviously, you've got Victor Lindelof's coming. I believe it's a 2-year contract. I think that adds depth to our centre backs, which is good. And I think he's thinking Europe. I think Unai's thinking Europe there. So before Carlos left in Jan, it seemed as though he was going for the 2 sets, or just having 4 centre-backs, 4 reliable centre-backs, and we can kind of interchange as and when. It seemed like Pau and Carlos were definitely for the Europe side of things, and they were doing pretty well when we were in Europe. And I think the loss of Carlos was huge, to be fair. He was prone to an error. However, his ability to play some diagonal balls, his vision, was good as well. And also, I do think that there's a case for Esri to go out to the right, because I feel like when he was on the right last year, and obviously between Mings, Pau, and Diego Carlos, they were kind of filling the centre backs. And Bogard, I believe that he was at his best when he was playing on the right hand side. To be honest, I'm just saying it, because this season I haven't seen anything that makes me want to put him in the centre back. And even at England, he's very much seen more on the right as a right back. He's got the pace. He's got the tenacity. He likes to make overlapping runs, unlike our friend Mai Cash. So I think it's just something that, I would maybe at least try. I do think the absence of Garcia, obviously because of his injuries, I wonder if he would be starting, just because of his go forward with that. So Lindelof's come in. I believe that will help us in terms of a little bit more depth and stability and experience. And then now we've got Jadon Sancho and Harvey Barnes. And I guess the jury's out for Jadon Sancho because he hasn't been successful in the Prem. Like, he's had spurts. United wasn't amazing. In fact, it was poor. Chelsea, there were games where he was literally unplayable. But I describe Jadon Sancho as like a baller. He's from South London. He's grown up playing in cages, and I hope no one takes that the wrong way, but he's grown up playing in the park. Very quick, intricate ball. 1-2s, 1 touch, 2 touch. The ball doing the movement, not necessarily him. Little reverse passes, flip around the corners, and I wonder that and when I've seen him fly, is when that's the ball that's around him. So I do think there's an opportunity now for him to link up with the likes of Morgan Rogers, because Morgan, I can see him. You can see it a little bit in how he wants to play. I want to play quick, 2-touch, 1-touch football, but no one else seems to be on the same level or wavelength as him. So there's a possibility, because I can see him being on the left, and then I also see Harvey Barnes being on the right. But this is where I have my trepidation about this, because the system that we have, so the 4-2-3-1, playing the inside forwards, where's our width coming from if our fullbacks aren't getting forward? Or if only one side of our fullbacks are getting forward. So for the inside forward to work, and we see it at Liverpool, we see it at Arsenal. So let's think about the right hand side. Let's think about Bukayo Saka and Mohamed Salah. The reason why it works is because the fullback works to complement their movement. So you've seen even with this new season, you've seen the difference between when Trent was there and now where Frimpong is there, if he's fit. So Frimpong now is the one that will keep the width. Whereas last year, Salah kept the width and he would cut in, obviously. But generally, he's the one that kept the width, and Trent would probably work inside. But obviously, if Salah was to come in, someone has to go on the outside. And this is the difficulty with how we're playing at the moment. There doesn't seem to be complementary movement. You know, everybody's kind of just being in the same area and not trying to make the diverting runs. You know, sometimes you have to make runs to just move defenders away. And I don't see any of that football IQ just coming in. You know, I know that in reality, this is a newish side because there's lots of people missing, lots of people being sold, this, that, and the other. But this team cohesion needs to be there. And bringing in these three guys, but bringing in Harvey Barnes and Jadon Sancho isn't going to fix the overall issue unless there is a systematic change. So, do we adopt a midfield three more like the Arsenal vibe and the Liverpool vibe, where it feels single pivot-ish-y, but it's not single pivot-ish-y? So let's look at Arsenal, for instance. Arsenal will have, you've got now, their midfield three is Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard. And then their front three is their front three. Saka, you got Gyökeres, and now I would presume Eze on the right hand side, or Martinelli. Because Saka likes to cut in, but he can also go on the outside. Because on the left hand side, Martinelli can cut in but come on the outside. You need movement to bring people away. So if you look at the Arsenal fullbacks, they bomb on. You know what I'm trying to say? Or if they don't bomb on, somebody's working on the outside to bring the width, to be able to bring defenders away. And I don't know if our build-up play in any way, shape or form has signified that. There has to be a complete shift in how we play for this to work. And the system that I see from Emery at present isn't a conducive system for the types of players that we seemingly want to bring in, or the types of players that we have. Because Marlon effectively is an inside forward as well. And it doesn't work because the movement of the players around, the system that we have in terms of movement doesn't work for people that like to play intricate inside passes, touches around the corner. There has to be more movement. I don't know if you've watched us. It's just static, man. As soon as we get past halfway, there is no movement. No one's trying to work for the ball. I'm surprised because someone like Yuri Tillemans would be massive. And I think if we were to adopt a system a little bit like... it's a rock. If we were to adopt a system like a little bit like Arsenal, a little bit like Liverpool in terms of that midfield three is more single pivotishy in terms of a holding, like a genuine 6, and you have an 8 and a 10. So Rice will bomb up and down. He's a box-to-box player, you know, and then Odegaard, similarly, he's still going to work box-to-box, but ultimately, he's the pivot man in the final third. And I wonder if in that case, you would have, and this is the difficulty, who would be our reliable 6 that it can play under pressure? Because this is the thing, you would need someone that is able to take the ball from the back, play on the half turn competently, and as much. I'm trying to think. Could it be McGinn? But you need someone with crazy range of passing. I'm trying to think. Booba, when he's back, I believe he'd be amazing. So in that system, I would see, you know, and it would mean maybe dropping our captain, in terms of starting every game, because in an ideal world, I would say that midfield three would need to be Booba, Yuri, Morgan, in the same similar roles as, so you got Booba is like in the Zubimendi role, you have Yuri in a Declan Rice role, and you have Morgan as the Odegaard role, that free roaming kind of linchpin. His touch needs to get better, and then being the link with the Jadens and the Harvey Barnes, and then Ollie up front. He has to do better. You know, I wonder if, is there anyone pushing him in that 9 spot? Because we haven't scored. We still haven't scored in 3 games. It's ridiculous. So we need to address that. But yeah, I think bringing these players would require us to now also have to rethink about tactics and formations. Difficulty with maybe playing a single pivot rather than double pivot is defensively, are we strong enough? Do we have reliable centre backs or reliable back four to be able to, I want to say sacrifice, push more players forward? That's the question. That is the question. But I'm glad ultimately that we were tenacious enough to go out and get these players, because Sunday, the first 3 games proved that we need some new blood. We've managed to hold on to Emmy. How he will be received by the players, I'm unsure, and the fans. I'm not one of those people that hates him because of him wanting to explore his new horizons. I just don't understand him wanting to go to United in the current state that United is in. I don't think United are going to get Europe this year. I know it's Manchester United, but Manchester United without European competition, Manchester United without trophies, it's Man United. I get it, but you're not competing at the highest level. I know you could probably get more money there and stuff. I don't know. I would hope that he wants to compete as much as he can. So I'm hoping that we can put water under the bridge, that he comes and performs in his amazing way that we know he can, and go from there. That's what my hope is. But yeah, it's been a interesting few days. I am glad that we now have the international break. And what I will say is, you know, even in the international break, I think I know this is Villa in Noir, but, you know, some international stuff might be spoken about as well. But yeah, this is where we are. Let's come back. We've got Everton next. We're going to Everton, going to the new stadium. We're going to face a revitalised Jack Grealish, who, you know what, there might be part of him that feels away that there was no interest from us in this summer. And, you know, let's just hope he doesn't have one of his amazing games against his old team, because he hasn't performed against us before. So performed well against us anyway. So, yeah, man, let's just see. I'm hoping these couple weeks or these 10 days left anyway will be beneficial, and we could come back firing on all cylinders next week against Everton, you know. But yeah, guys, again, thank you. Please like this, please subscribe, please share this. Up the Villa, and I'll see you soon. All right, peace.